Hey there guys, nice to see you all again. Thanks for tuning in and watching this video wherever you find yourselves. As promised in my previous video, today we'll be looking at private companies versus partnerships and which one is most suitable for your specific business. Now, I kind of feel like someone about to watch a boxing match here. In the blue corner we have the private companies, and in the red corner we have partnerships, and they're going to have a full go at each other, but that's not entirely how it works in the business world, and we'll get to a number of things that determine what form of ownership suits your business best. But before we get there, I would like to give you just a bit of background on why it is so important to determine, or rather to decide between a private company and a partnership. About 10-15 years ago, a little bit more than 10, about 12 to 15 years ago, in South Africa, the government realized that there's a problem when it comes to forms of ownership, and the main problem was caused by what we call a closed corporation. Now, a closed corporation is a form of ownership that is more or less in between a partnership and a private company. And there were a lot of loopholes for business owners to get away with, and the government realized that they're losing money, especially when it came to taxes. So in 2008, the government of South Africa brought out a new law. It was called and still is called, the Companies Act of 2008. And in that act, all existing closed corporations were ordered to either switch over to a partnership or a private company. And from that moment onwards, one was not allowed to open new closed corporations. Right, so that's where the whole debate between private companies and partnerships started. So for certain businesses, a partnership was more suited, and others, the private company suited them better. But if you are in the middle and you don't really know which one to choose, hopefully this video will give you a bit of a clearer picture, and then make your life easier in making the decision. So just to refresh your memory, when it comes to partnerships, we have a minimum of 2 members or partners that can open and run their own business. Now, with a private company, you can register a private company on your own. You only need to have one owner to register a private company. All right, so you don't need a partner to have a private company. You can register it on your own. The difference comes in with registration. With a partnership, you only need a contract. You need a partnership agreement between all the partners involved, and once the terms and conditions has been agreed upon, all the parties involved sign the contract, and the partnership is established. With a private company, it's a little bit more difficult. You have to register your private company at the CIPC, and it's also a bit more costly. So it will cost you more money, and the process of registering your private company will basically take longer than a partnership. All right, so that's basically 1-0 to partnerships. Okay, the process, the start-up process is much quicker and easier. All right. When it comes to liabilities, there we sort of lean towards the private companies more, because in a partnership, if something goes wrong, the partners are jointly responsible for all the debt. In other words, it's not a case of I'm responsible for my debt and you are responsible for yours. I am responsible for all the debt. And if something happens to me, and believe me, it does, that some partners just disappear overnight, then the other partners that's left behind are responsible for that partner's debt as well. All right, so they are jointly responsible for all the debt of the business. What's even more is that the business and the partners cannot be separated. They are all one. All right, so that means that the partners can lose some of their personal belongings in order for the partnership's debt to be paid off. In a private company, it basically comes down to the private company, the business itself is separate from the owners, or rather the directors of the company. So the company's debt is the company's debt. The director's debt is something totally different. Okay, you cannot, or rather they are not linked to each other. All right, so that is a safer option. And what's more is that the directors, each director is responsible for his part of the business that he owns. All right, so if I have a 20% stake in a private company, it means that I'm only responsible for 20% of the debt. All right, so that's why I say it's a more friendly environment for a private company. Then when it comes to continuity, and this is when it comes to a partnership, this might be something difficult to grasp, but just hear me out. When it comes to continuity, if one of the partners decide that they don't want to be part of the partnership anymore, that whole partnership basically disintegrates. So the contract, the existing contract, is no longer valid, and a new contract needs to be set up by the other partners still in the business, or even if they bring in a new partner, that partner's name needs to be included into a new contract. All right, so there's no continuity of existence for a partnership, because as soon as one partner either passes away or decides that he doesn't want to be part of the partnership anymore, that partnership agreement is no longer valid. So a new business needs to be registered. In a company's case, a private company, there is a continuity of existence because of the fact that the directors and the business stand separate. All right, so the company still goes on. The shares that person owned is sold basically back to the company, and the company carries on. Okay, so that's another one for the company. And then another one for the partnerships. Basically, when it comes to the name, there are no requirements for having or naming your partnership. You can choose any name you like. All right, but in a private company, there are certain requirements that you need to adhere to. And the main one is that behind your name, you need to state Property Limited, PTY Limited. All right, it has to be there, as you will recall from one of my previous videos. Property Limited needs to stand behind the name of a private company. All right, so that's one of the requirements for a private company, and with a partnership, it's much easier and simpler. Then probably the most important part between these two forms of ownership is when it comes to tax, and in a lot of cases this will be the deciding factor, because if you think back to what I've said, it's actually two now. 2 for the private company, 2 for the partnership. So here's the deciding factor for me personally, and that's taxes. Now in South Africa, we have a tax system where the more you earn, the more you pay. Basically, pay as you earn. Okay. Now that's applicable to sole traders and partnerships. So the higher your profit, the higher your tax will be. Okay. If you are a very successful partnership, you can pay up to a maximum of 42% tax per year. That's quite a lot of money going for tax. But if you are a small partnership, or rather a small business, and you don't make a lot of profit, it means that you will pay less tax if you're a partnership. It will probably be something like 18 to 25% per year, which is a lot better than 42, not so? But when it comes to a private company, whether you earn a lot of profit or not, you will always pay a set flat rate of 28%. 28%. Now, if you are a business, a successful, flourishing business, making a lot of money, the private company will benefit you more, because then you will basically score 14%. Between 42 and 28, you will pay 28%. If you are not making a lot of money, it means that in a partnership you might be paying 20%, but because you're a private company, you will still be paying 28%. So that's the choice that I'm going to leave in your hands. You know what your idea of a product or service is. You know how feasible it is. You know what the potential is. So based on the information that I've just given you, I hope that you will be able to make a much better decision at the end of the day that will suit your business best. In my next video, I'm going to look at another topic that some people see as a form of ownership, but it's not exactly a form of ownership, and that is franchises. But I'm going to leave it for next time. So for now, thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram under the same name. And I'll be seeing you around next time. Stay safe. Cheers.